10 women's wrestlers who have a background in cheerleading. Cheerleaders in wrestling have often been used as eye candy. Some can use it as a gimmick, like the Spirit Squad. Although famously, cheerleader Melissa was never an actual cheerleader in school. For the most part, cheerleaders are used to entertain the crowd, with acts like the Nitro Girls mixing and dancing as well. With a new focus on women's wrestling, many stars were more into athletics rather than cheerleading. But a few big names today got their start waving the pom-poms. And not just in school either. Some made it to the professional sports leagues before deciding wrestling was their true calling. Here are a few female wrestlers whose cheerleading backgrounds may surprise to show how they've shifted that into wrestling. 10 Velvet Sky. The TNA star is still out there. Also performed in softball, track and volleyball. A woman who just won't quit the business. Jamie Lynn Zanter had an athletic streak as a teen. She competed in several sports in high school, including volleyball, football, and track, and worked in a stint as a cheerleader as well. She spent most of her early years in the Indies with a tryout for WWE. In TNA, the renamed Velvet Sky became one of the biggest stars as she and Angelina Love formed the Beautiful People team. Sky has become a Knockouts Tag Champion and two-time Knockouts champ while working in stints in ROH and the NWA. Still out there wrestling today, Sky seems to be a lifer in the business that fans love to cheer on. 9 Maxine Dupri. The new NXT star has pro cheerleading experience. One of NXT's brightest new stars, Maxine Dupri has taken off working with Alpha Academy. She's improving in the ring, and a fun persona fans are connecting with. Dupri honed that not just as a teenager handling cheerleading in high school, but the pros as well. She was a cheerleader for the Los Angeles Rams, and then a dancer for the Phoenix Suns. Like other cheerleaders moving into wrestling, this gave Dupri not just athletic skills but experience performing before large arenas. 8 Julia Hart. The AEW star had to leave it behind. Two-time National Cheerleading Championship. No relation to the famed Hart Wrestling dynasty, Julia Hart grew up in Minnesota, which always had a background for future wrestling stars. She spent 6 years as a competitive cheerleader from junior high on, but got bored of it by the time she graduated high school. So it must have been annoying when her early AEW role was basically the cheerleader for the Varsity Blondes. After an injury, Hart remade herself into a heel, becoming TBS Women's Champ, and in alliance with the House of Black. She's fighting back from another injury, and set to retain her top spot in AEW. That shows her great evolution from her early role. 7 Carly Bright. The rising NXT talent has good cheerleading experience. A promising talent in NXT, Carly Bright has only been wrestling for a couple of years, yet shows potential. That comes from her background as she attended the University of Minnesota and was a cheerleader for the Golden Gophers sports teams. She must no doubt have enjoyed moving from the cold environment of Minnesota to the warmer climate of NXT. So far, Bright has been mostly a filler spot in NXT, in losing efforts to put others over yet still has some skills. It's possible she can rise up more and live up to her last name, with a bright future matching that former cheerleading past. 6 Liv Morgan. The former cheerleader is now a megastar. Worked as a model and Hooters girl. It's been amazing to see Liv Morgan blossom in the last 2 years into one of the biggest female stars in WWE. She always had the looks and talent to get ahead, as evidenced by her experience as a competitive cheerleader while growing up in New Jersey. Wrestling was always her calling, to the point of having a backyard ring. After wasting a few years in the Riot Squad and an attempted makeover, Liv has finally found her calling in the sensational feud with Rhea Ripley and her relationship with Dominic Mysterio, and a dominant women's champion. A long way from the gal trying to live out her dreams in the backyard. 5 Nikki Cross. It's a strange part of her persona. This may sound crazy. Nikki Cross, the Scottish gal known either as a total nutcase or a would-be superhero, was once a cheerleader. Believe it or not, it's true. Growing up in Glasgow, Nikki was an athletic child in her school and did spend a bit of time as a cheerleader. It didn't seem to last long, as she moved to the University of Glasgow for more athletics. Cross has become a fun sight in WWE with her various personas, holding the Raw and Women's title, as well as the final ever 24-7 champion. She managed to work on earning a master's degree from the University of Edinburgh, to show you can never fully guess what kind of Kross you're going to meet. For Carmella, she worked for an NFL dynasty, cheerleader for New England Patriots 2008 to 2010, cheerleader for Los Angeles Lakers 2010 to 11. Arguably one of the most underrated female wrestlers on WWE's roster today, Carmella doesn't quite get her due. She's better than she seems in the ring, especially her terrific Code of Silence finisher that led to her success in WWE, winning the first women's MITB match, Smackdown champion, and even four-time 24/7 champ. In terms of cheerleading, Carmella's experience is even better. She spent 3 years cheering on the Patriots at the height of the Tom Brady era, and followed that by dancing for the NBA champion Los Angeles Lakers for a season. It's no wonder her dance moves in the ring are so good with so much experience at it. 3. Alexa Bliss. From a cheerleader to a wicked heel, Alexa Bliss started in WWE with a silly fairy princess gimmick in NXT. She morphed that into a heel manager with a mean girl cheerleader persona, which fit her experience. Despite some tough times in her childhood, Bliss did excel in school, being a cheerleader at Hilliard Davis High School. She then upped it to join the University of Akron's Division I squad, while still getting a degree in medical dietetics. In WWE, Bliss has held both the Raw and SmackDown women's titles multiple times, as well as runs as women's tag team champion, and winning the first women's Elimination Chamber match. Despite her short height, Bliss stands tall in WWE, and can still pull off that cheering persona if she has to. 2. Naomi. Her cheerleading aided her ring work. Dance for Orlando Magic backup dancer for Flo Rida, Naomi has come a long way from a funkadactyl. It's no surprise she'd been a cheerleader in her youth, as she clearly had the form for it, and that led to her successful dancing career. She was part of the Orlando Magic cheer dance team to let her get used to performing before thousands of fans, which has served her well in WWE. After a tricky start, Naomi has blossomed into a top performer as the inaugural FCW Divas champion, 2-time SmackDown's women's champ, and WWE Women's Tag Team champion. She also got attention traveling to TNA to be Knockouts champion, before her big return in 2024. Anyone seeing her incredible flexibility in the ring can't be shocked at Naomi's cheerleading prowess. 1. Charlotte. She was always an athletic star. Charlotte can be a divisive figure for wrestling fans. No one can deny her in-ring skills, charisma, and helping pave the way for scores of top female wrestlers in WWE. They also can't deny WWE has gone way too far pushing her as champion with practically every belt, and shoehorning her into main event programs. The only reason she's not around in 2024 has been an injury. Always a gifted athlete, Charlotte played basketball in her youth, and was also a 2-time NCHSA 4A state championships for volleyball at Providence High School. In between that and her time at Appalachian State University and North Carolina State, Charlotte worked in a little cheerleading too. It didn't last long, but showed she always had the athletic gifts of her father that led to her stardom.